Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Welcome, everyone, to episode 213 of Missing Pieces. This is my weekly audio journal podcast where I talk about what I'm up to and what I'm into. I say weekly in a strange way because it hasn't been weekly as of late. In fact, I looked back and episode 212 was recorded on June 9th and today's July 7th. So this is essentially a monthly podcast, but that's not going to stay the same. You guys know, if you've been watching Greg's World, that we went on vacation in Kauai. We were there for just about 2 weeks. Week I got back, I was like, hey, I should do a podcast episode, but at the same time, I was editing all the videos from our trip, which I'm still doing to this day, actually. And I was like, I'm just going to end up talking about the trip and all the things they're going to see anyway. So I'll just make an episode next week. So only about 3 weeks between episodes. Somehow it's 4 weeks, though. I don't know where the time went, but we've been having a heck of a lot of fun, which I'll talk about in this episode. But what I thought I would do, just to recap the whole Kauai thing, because it is a part of my life and my journey, I thought I would talk about how much I absolutely love that trip. As you could probably tell from the videos that you've been watching, of all of the vacations that we've been on and all the places that we've gone. And that sounds like super first world to even be able to say that. In fact, if I went back just a few years in my life, I hadn't traveled anywhere. My family never took vacations. We never did anything. They never had the money to do so. And my parents weren't super involved. So as an adult, I made a pledge that if I ever had the opportunity and the ability, I would make the most of my life and try to share that with my family and specifically my son, give him those experiences that I never had. So we were doing just that. And I have to say, of the places we've been a few places in this world, and I've been excited to go to all of them. But Kauai just had this place in my heart that I don't know if it'll ever be topped. Starting with the place that we stayed, it was like out of a magazine. And the crazy thing is, the place wasn't even that much more expensive than when we go to Outer Banks. I don't even know how that's possible, but it's the flight expense and the time and all that stuff and getting there that really just destroys you, especially on the way back. But because when you're leaving, you're like all excited and motivated. When you come back, you're just like, get me home. So not because the trip was bad, just the travel itself. But this place was incredible. The scenery, majestic. It's like what I pictured Hawaii being like. It's the Hawaii that I wanted. Maui was awesome. The snorkeling was great there, and snorkeling is a big thing for me. But I wanted the more, rural Hawaii, that like the jungle style. And boy, did we experience that while we were there. We went hiking, we went biking, we went boating. Do I have something around with that? We went snorkel loading. And I found this spot that was just down from where we were staying that you could just walk to, called Hideaways Beach. And that became my favorite place in Kauai, where I could just go there and snorkel and see all these great fish. I saw sea turtles out there twice. And 0 of those times I had my camera with me, because there are times I'm just like, I got a whole bunch of fish footage. Let me just go out and fool it around and see what I can see. And then that's when the thing happens. Like always, like all things in life, the thing that you need to record, which is why you always got to be recording. That's what you miss. But I saw it for myself, and I had this experience, and that was incredible. We've had some delicious foods there. I got to drive a Jeep for basically 2 weeks, falling back in love with the Jeep life. And the Subaru's over here like shaking in its boots right now, because man, I'm tempted to go back to a Wrangler. But Subarus are pretty darn good vehicles and more reliable, I want to say. But the fun factor of having a Jeep and being able to take the top and the doors and stuff off, it's calling me. Oh goodness, this trip could be way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. But we had so much fun. We all agreed it was our favorite thing that we've done so far. And we've done some epic stuff. Like, we've been to Italy, we've been to Scotland, we've been to the UK. Well, I guess Scotland's in the UK. Sorry, Scotland detectors. We've been to London. We've been to Maui, as I mentioned. Have we been anywhere else? I think that's probably enough for one person's lifetime. But man, we're just having such a good time. And these summers are what I look forward to the most. Like, I wait all school year for us to have these opportunities, as I mentioned earlier, for us to do this. And then once it comes, and this was really cool because Cody scheduled this to be like right when she got out of school. So it was like, okay, school's done. Next week, we're going to Hawaii. And boy, that was a good choice. It was crazy though, like leaving here and going there. It was actually warmer and hotter here. Like, it was a heat wave that we missed out on. And I don't know what I like better. I think I kind of like skipping out on the winter days here. Like, when you leave here and you're in your winter jacket and it's like snowing here, and then you go to a warm climate, that I really love. Like, when we were in Disney before, I remember one day we were eating in a restaurant in Disney, and I checked our security camera because a notification came up, and I saw our neighbor plowing our driveway. And I was just like, oh man, this is so awesome being in Florida when it's snowing in Pennsylvania. So leaving here in June, which in my opinion is like the prime Pennsylvania month because it's typically, historically, a month of very low humidity, temperature in like the upper 70s, just gorgeous and beautiful. And it's like, do I want to leave my gorgeous and beautiful for more gorgeous and beautiful? And I was happy to do that this time, especially because it was so hot out. So we went there, had the time of our lives. It was one of those trips when I was leaving, I was like, I literally have done every single thing that I wanted to do here. There was nothing left on my agenda or my list that I was like, oh man, if we only had one more day. We went to see the Hawaiian Grand Canyon. The boating trip was amazing. Clark loved that. I loved bicycling up the coast, was probably my favorite thing. It was all just so great. We did all kinds of like little hiking adventures. We saw Queen's Bath. And it's been awesome coming home, even though it's a lot of work to edit all of the videos. Like every day, I don't know how I did it, but every day it was like consistently 1 hour and 45 minutes of footage that I recorded. And every day I somehow consistently make that like an 18-minute video. And it's so weird how it works out, but it's just like boom, boom, boom. So every day since I've been home, I've been editing a day of our Kauai trip and then putting that out to the world. And people seem to be enjoying coming along with us. And I got the best comment you can get, which is, I feel like I'm along with you on this trip. And I'm like, that's all I want, man. Because I also want that for myself. I want to be able to look back someday. Even now, like these videos, I don't really buy anything. I bought this t-shirt. I'm wearing it today as celebration. Like that's my souvenir, but my real souvenir are the videos that I make or the footage that I capture, I guess is the souvenir. And then I come home and whittle that down and I make a little video out of it. And then I can look back and relive that trip anytime that I want. And not many people have that experience, you know, like you might have some photos and stuff and you can look at that, but like being there and seeing it is just like a whole different thing. And then to be able to share that with thousands of people in the world that are interested enough to come along with you on your experience is so cool. But what I love most about these trips, and I think why I really would love to become a traveler, is because I love the adventure. You know, I love having the ability to do anything and anything that I want, right? Everything and anything that I want. It was very different from when we went to Punta Cana. I'm remembering all these places that we've gone now. And that was like this all-inclusive thing where you're on a resort and you're there and there's like a pool and it's all you can eat and all that stuff, which is great. But to me, that was lacking the adventure that a trip like this has. Like, I love the idea of just going to the airport, getting a rental car, and it's like, okay, do what you want to do. So I don't ever see myself doing like a cruise. I don't think that would be something that I would want. I kind of like something where we're kind of just on our own doing our thing as opposed to being around a ton of people in a confined space, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I think I found what I love. And I especially want to do more of this. Like we're thinking about maybe next year planning something like a European trip. But then I just keep thinking about the Big Island and how I haven't been there yet. And another trip to Hawaii would be crazy and just incredible. And these are like once in a lifetime trips that we're doing, and we're just soaking them in. I think, you know, I've talked about this before in this podcast, but when COVID hit and like knowing that these opportunities that you have now maybe won't exist for you tomorrow, or health issues could come up, or anything could happen for that matter. If you have an opportunity to go seize the moment, what did Eminem say in what is that? I'm not going to do the lyrics. We're not going to go that far. But what I'm saying is, you know, don't throw up on your sweater. Don't throw that spaghetti up on your mom's sweater. And if you have the opportunity to go have an adventure in your lifetime, I think you should do it, especially with the people that you love and the time that you can. So that's why I say all that. I do feel some sense of guilt when I talk about these things, and I worry that people are going to be like, oh, Greg, you could do all this stuff. And I understand like that is like, we're very fortunate to do it, but just know that I feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to have these experiences, and I don't take it for granted. And I'm happy to, if you can't do this, I'm happy to bring you along with us, at least virtually. Maybe not in real life, but at least virtually you get to come along with us, and I do my best to try to share that. So just know that those videos, if you're listening to this or watching this, because you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts if you choose, or Spotify, those videos will be coming to an end here in the next 3 or 4 days or so. It depends how things get split, because there's one, like tomorrow's edit is like 2.5 hours, because it was like 2 separate things in one day. And sometimes it works better to kind of split those. So it's like 3 or 4 more videos coming up. But then we get into all the stuff that we did since we've been back, which has been a lot. In fact, I've been recording a video every single day since we've been home. Not because I've made the decision that I'm going to do a daily vlog and it's going to be every day. It's because there's just been stuff happening every day. These summer months, like I said, it's just like things are happening all the time. The Home Alone with Greg isn't a thing anymore. There's just like things popping off. So I've been recording things, and I thought in this episode to give you a little preview of what's to come on these adventures that we're going to be going on, that we have been on and will continue to go on as the summer continues here, because there's a lot more in store, and I have so much on my list. Like I talked about my Kauai list being checked off, the list being back at home. I haven't even scratched the surface yet, but we came home and met with Yemi and Pap, who I should say there was an incident while we were gone. It happened on our last day, actually, thankfully. I mean, wasn't a good thing, but it happened on our last day, so it didn't ruin our trip too much. Deb fell while we were gone, and she actually broke her femur. So the last day we got a call from Cody's brother, and Deb, she told everyone in the family and said not to call us. In fact, I think if you go back to the last episode, I talked about the prospect of whether you make a phone call when people are away on vacation if something bad happens. I was thinking more about like Roxy Bear and a situation with her, and everyone pledged not to call, but Cody's brother Casey called, and he said, I would want you to call me if something like this happened. And he told Cody, and that was like a huge bummer, obviously, because like she fell, she broke her leg, she was in the hospital at the time, and it was like, oh shoot. But luckily it was like that evening, and then we were leaving on a plane the next morning, so it was like we're coming home, didn't end our trip. And like that's the thing that, like, if I could go back, I don't think, and this is a really tough judgment call, I don't think that you should call on something like that. Here's the only thing, because the reason why is there's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing that we could have done. And then just knowing that something like that happened, and like it doesn't accomplish anything. Like even if Roxy were to pass away while we're gone, what does calling us accomplish other than like absolutely destroying your vacation? Why not just have it happen when you come back? Because you're coming back anyway, right? And it's like, okay, back into Pennsylvania, and we're at the Philadelphia airport, we check our phone, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, this thing happened, and then you handle it then. The only way that I think you should call somebody on vacation if something bad happens is if someone is in a life-threatening condition or like on the verge of death, and you need to get home before that happens so you can see them before they die. That's the only way that I think you should call. Now, this could be up for debate. Maybe people feel differently. Like maybe you would want to know the day it happens. But for me personally, I think it'd just be much better to not know, and then to deal with the repercussions when you come back to reality, because ultimately that's what's going to happen anyway. And you can't do anything, like I mentioned. So we got that call on the last day, kind of soured that a little bit, but we already had like, that was after everything was all done. That was just like, we were just wrapping it up for the evening and then ready to come out the next day. So wasn't terrible, but she's dealing with that now, and I just feel terrible because she's laid up and just dealing with all the pain and stuff with that. Because I broke my foot in December, and I know what that's like, and that was nothing compared to this. I had no surgery. She had to get like a thing put in her leg and all this. So we're wishing her, and I hope that you can too. I wish you could wish her a speedy recovery, because she sometimes watches and listens to this. So wish her a speedy recovery, getting fixed up, because we need to get her back on the yard sale scene. Which is what we did when we came back. Pap called us, or I think we talked about that night when we came home, said yard sale season still continuing apparently. So next day we went out for some community yard sales, which happened to be just like one development that we went into. And when you know it, this entire development was nothing but little girl stuff. So like I feel really good for those girls that live there, because they're all going to have this little community where they grew up together, and there's going to be all these girls like being friends, I'm assuming, in that community, because it was all just like little kid stuff. But I did end up finding one house where there's this guy that was selling some really cool stuff that was more in my wheelhouse. And I got some PlayStation 1 games. I got a sealed Lego Hobbit Lego set, or Lord of the Rings, one of the two. And that was pretty cool. Got that for it's worth $65, and she gave it to me for 25. And I'm trying to debate whether to like keep it as a piece or if I should sell it on eBay and flip it, which I might do. I might actually put that money towards my most wanted Lord of the Rings set, which is Rivendell. In fact, that's my most wanted Lego set of all. It's just if you haven't seen it before, it's just glorious, just gorgeous. It's almost like a castle set, I guess, if you were trying to like imagine this without knowing anything about Lord of the Rings or Lego or anything. But it's just so beautiful. It's like 400 and some dollars. So maybe I'll put that towards that investment and then work my way towards getting that, because that's like ultimately what I really want. I got some PlayStation 1 games for $3 a piece, and some of those are worth like $20. So we did really good that day flipping stuff. I got a Nike hat for 50 cents. I was excited about that. I actually wore it that day because I forgot my hat. So it's always nice when you can come through with something that you can use right away. Clarkman, though, the big spender, he bought a 25-cent Pokemon pin and a 25-cent Hot Wheels car. He spent 50 cents, but he was looking for Pokemon cards. And the guy that I bought from, he had some there, but I think they're like all energy cards or something. So he wasn't super interested. Pardon me while I get a drink here. So that was a fun day. We didn't end up going out on Saturday because I think that was the day that Deb was coming home. We were actually watching Mickey for them too, which he was so displaced. He was distraught that his mom was gone. He's been with her like every day forever. So I felt bad for him too. And but she's getting better now. Things are kind of, she's I think building up some strength, and I'm hoping over the months we can get her back in business. It just sucks when something like that happens over the summer, because the time you want to be laid up is like January, when it's snowing outside and you can't do anything anyway. That's the time. But you don't really get to pick when these things happen. I got lucky with my foot. When I fell down that step over there, it was the beginning of, or I think it was the end of November, and I was just like, okay, this is my life now, and I had to wear a boot, which looking back now was not that bad considering. So maybe the lesson today for all of us, including myself, is no matter what kind of situation you're in, if you feel like down on yourself, you're like, well, there's probably somebody that has it worse, or it could be worse. And that's always the case no matter what it is, unless you died. If you died, then it doesn't get much worse. So unless you like came back to life and then died again, then okay, we're getting off the rails here. But that was our yard sailing so far. There is some yard sale action happening this coming week, a week after you listen to this. So I'll probably be talking about that next week, depending on when the recording is. I'm actually recording this on Sunday. This should have went out 16 minutes ago, but I had a video to edit. So I was like, gosh, I can't have another week where people are looking forward to this podcast. Possibly there's like 3 people out there that are looking at like their YouTube feed or their podcast feed, and they're like, dang, another week with no podcast. I get that way with my favorite podcast. The one that I listen to, they're very inconsistent these days. It might have an episode this week, next week there isn't one, next week there might be one, next week there isn't one. And it sucks because it becomes like a part of your thing, So I'm back unless we go on vacation again. And just know, and I mentioned this in the last episode as like I guess as a hint, if you don't see us for a week or two, that means that we're away having a lot of fun, and you'll get to see the results of that when you come back. So that was the case here, only there was a little bit extra time, unfortunately. So we're back at it here, and I'm going to try to keep this consistent, but I'll go on with some of the other things that we did in this last week or so that kept things coming. This is like all from July. Like July is just popping off. Clark and I went Lego clearance hunting at Walmart and Target. Walmart, we were too early. Target, we were too late. Although we did find some scores there. In fact, we went back later in the week too, and we found some good Lego stuff. And he conned me into like buying some Pokemon things. Like I thought we were going Lego hunting, and we're in the Lego aisle, and he wants to go look at the Pokemon stuff. He's looking at the cards, and I'm totally down with that because he just loves Pokemon. Like it's become his thing, and he gets these packs and he opens them up, and he loves looking at the artwork and the card and the characters he knows, and he's making piles of ones that he needed for his collection and like the good ones. We found a few that are worth some money. So it's just fun. And what I like most about that is it's just the purity of collecting because of enjoyment instead of money. Because I think I talked about my card collecting before, where I was like, I used to collect NFL and basketball cards, and I would collect them based on like the player and like the card and how it looked and the pose they were in and how much I loved it, like from an artistry standpoint, if you can consider like sports and art, which, sports photography can be that. But then my friend like brought the money side of things in and ripped me off one day. And ever since then, I was obsessed with that. And like my whole life, I feel like money has been like this big thing where it's been like a goal to get it so then I could get myself free, and then a goal to get it to provide security, and then a goal to get it to do things like we're doing now. And it's just like, at what point do you just forget that side of things and enjoy life and enjoy the hobby, life as a hobby? And I feel like I've done a lot to get that way, because for a long time it was an obsession with me, especially that getting out of debt phase. It was everything. And I neglected a lot of things that we could have done. We've had a lot of experiences in our 20s and young 30s. Had I not went so hard at it and been so motivated towards it, But now we're making up for lost time, and that's like the story of my life. Didn't have all these experiences in a childhood like many kids have. I didn't have it bad by any means. I wasn't beat. I was always fed. I had things that I wanted. But time, attention, and experiences are worth so much more than material goods, and that's, I think, what I'm trying to get out of life now and give that to my family. So that was that's why. Long story short, that's why I like to support Clark Man's Pokemon hobby. I was gonna say habit, addiction, whatever it is. He likes doing it, and I'm happy to get some deals on some card packs that he can open up and see what he gets, and we're like do it together too. So that's pretty darn neat. Even though I don't know anything about him, and I'm just like, oh, that card's really cool. He's the guy that knows the Pokemon stuff, and it's become his. He's also playing the Sword and Shield for like the 4th time playing through that game. So we might have to get him a new Pokemon game here, but it's good times. Even better times though. You wouldn't believe it, but Cactus Tater season is back, baby. Our town carnival is finally in, and the Cactus Tater stand is rolled into town. I've had them twice so far, and they move, I think, next week to another location that we go to called the Lycoming County Fair, and I'll have the opportunity to have those again. But Cactus Taters, if you don't know, it's like taking a potato and they put a drill on it basically and turn it into a spiral of these really thin, almost like potato chip things that are connected together, deep fry them, and they are absolutely glorious. So I always look forward to that. I got some pizza. We went there the one night, had a great time, made a video about it. I think that goes without saying. Got some bubble tea. We got some lemonade. I got some pizza. It was a whole night. We also went back last night too and watched the fireworks in the back of the truck. So that was a cool experience. We pulled out on like the road by the farm, and they shoot them up by the high school there in town, and like it was just neat to do that. So that was like our 4th, on the actual 4th. Actually, let's go back to the day before the 4th. We went up to camp that day because the weather on the 4th in Pennsylvania was So we went up to camp. It was just Casey and Tiff up there, the boys. Landon had to go home for physical therapy because he had his ACL replaced or fixed. So his knee's all messed up. Everybody's injured, it seems. And Kyle's got his girlfriend now, so he's MIA. He's gone. Man, I'll never see him again probably. But we went up. I took all my stuff with me. In fact, I got Casey into RC boats now because he was running our fast boat, was enjoying that. We took the RC truck. Clark and I went snorkeling, saw a bunch of fish. I was trying to pretend I was in Kauai at the time. Didn't quite do it for me like Kauai did. What else did we do that day? Clark and I went floating down. Unfortunately, the creek is much lower now than it was when we did it on Memorial Day. So we were dragging like crazy and pushing along, but we had a fun time doing that. Had some good food. It was just an all in good day's fun. But the best part of it was Roxy Bear went with us, and I mentioned before, she was having some health issues. Got her on a low-fat diet, like strict. No treats, no people food, no eating cat food outside. I got that all locked down. So she's just eating nothing but this low-fat food, and she's doing well. She went up there and had the time of her life. It was like old Roxy Bear was back. She was swimming in the water, putting her head underwater, pulling out rocks. You might think that's how she got her name Roxy, but that's not. It's how she got her teeth filed down to almost nothing, though. Her canine incisors or whatever those are, they're almost as small as her other teeth. But she had a blast. She was rolling in the mud, had mud all over her head. I got some beautiful photos of her up there, and I was just like soaking all of that in and cherishing it, because you never know when it's going to be the last time. Just like the whole purpose of this podcast is to like remind myself and to remind others out there that nothing's guaranteed in the future. So again, if you can take advantage of something, if you have the ability, don't put it off. And that's a message for me from my 20s. Like I mentioned earlier, like I put a lot of stuff off in chasing these financial goals. And it's like, dude, go live that life. Go do it. Who cares? You know, there's some part of things that I think it's good to plan and it's smart to plan, but you got to find that balance. And I've never been good at that. If I set my mind on something, it's all or nothing. So that was just an epic day, and Rox had so much fun. She was soaked, and yeah, I loved it. I loved every bit of that. That was so great being up there, and it was just nice because it was just family too. It wasn't, and the most wild thing, usually when you go up to camp on 4th of July, everybody's up there. Like all the other camps are up there. Everyone's going crazy. Because we went on the 3rd, and July 4th was a Thursday. People were going up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there was like nobody up there. We had the whole place to ourselves. It was glorious. So that was great. The next day, actually on July 4th, we kind of hung out here at the house. went over to Deb's, visited there because Autumn and Chris were coming over with their new baby. Met Ethan for the first time, and he's super cute. Clark Man was holding him. I got some video of that. The cuteness level quite possibly went off the charts. Also, Roxy got to meet up with their little dachshund, Sophie, again. I have a video from 12 years ago when they met for the first time. Roxy's the size of a dachshund, and they are just rumbling, fighting each other and doing all this stuff. Contrast that to July 4th. They were just like laying there, both old girls now. And it was kind of crazy to see time fly. And that's like what I took from that day, was seeing Clark Man, who's creeping on 10 years old, holding this little baby that he was the size of this little baby at one point, and thinking about how quickly time has passed. And it's crazy. And again, I'm just like grabbing for these moments and like trying to hold on as much as I can, because I know that they're going to go away. Like the fireworks thing. I was thinking about this and talking to Cody about it yesterday. I was like, are we still going to go to the fireworks after Clark Man grows up? I don't know if I will. Like, I'm going because like I want this experience and he's into it. You know, what kid doesn't love fireworks? And we actually stopped the one day we were out clearance hunting, and we got some little fountains, sparklers to shoot up. We're going to be shooting those off tonight. We're going to have a fire tonight, so that'll be pretty fun. And I'm thinking like, you know what? Let's do this now, because, you know, eventually Clark's going to be Kyle's age, and he's going to maybe have a girlfriend and a life, and he's going to go off and live that. And that'll be a new chapter for him, a new chapter for us. And it's going to be crazy to think about how 20 years has gone by, just like I think about how 10 years has gone by almost. I'm rounding up. But man, it's just crazy. It's crazy to think about sometimes. And I know the parents out there can relate. I get messages from parents that are older than me, or have kids that are older than Clark is, and they're just like, man, it goes fast. And I was telling Chris that, I'm like, you know, you're going to see just how quickly things go. Like, he's right now just sitting there as this little bundle. Eventually he's going to be walking. Eventually he'll be talking. He'll be building Lego sets. He's going to be opening Pokemon cards, driving a car. All these things are going to happen, and it's going to feel like it went like that. Let me tell you about another thing we did this week. Is this the highlight? Quite possibly. First trip to Knoebels in 2024. I don't know how it happened that we haven't gone there until July, but we finally went, and we had such an amazing time. We went in the evening on the 2nd. I'm getting my timeline all out of order here, but I'm just trying to connect everything. We went at like 4 o'clock, and I was thinking like July 2nd, things are going to be crazy here. But just like at camp, I think a lot of people are doing the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. It was empty. Like, not empty, but we maybe waited like one ride to get on rides. Some of them we just walked on. We did the swings, we did the bumper cars, we did the whipper, we did the Phoenix. We got some fudge, of course, some peanut butter fudge from the fudge shop there. Incredible. We had some backyard barbecue. Their backyard barbecue place is incredible. I finally tried one of their apple cider slushies, but Clark, I think, nailed it when he said it was just like applesauce. It was like frozen applesauce. It wasn't as flavorful as what you'd hope for in an apple cider. But I've been waiting for this place to open. It's like this little apple, like actual stand that looks like an apple. It was open one time and I missed it. And then I've never seen it since then. So I finally got that. So I was like checking that stuff off my list. And we had a great time. We basically stayed until they closed. We left around 8 o'clock, and Roxy just stayed at home that night. Well, dogs are welcome in the park, but it would just be too much for her to get around there. And that's a lot of walking, a lot of stuff happening. So we were only there for 4 hours, but I did everything that I wanted to do. Oh, we rode the train too, and we saw a deer. It's all on video, believe it or not. You believe it. So man, it was fantastic. This whole week's been nothing but good stuff. If Deb hadn't broken her leg, I'd be reporting nothing but amazing stuff. So as a result of that, this week goes from an A+ to an A-. In Deb's week, probably like an F. But man, we're just living good times right now. And I just hope that these can continue, and I can keep doing lots of fun stuff, keep making videos about these things. People continue to keep watching them and enjoying them. That's pretty much all I can hope for. You continue to listen to the podcast or watch this after me disappearing for a month. It's alive, it's back, and it's well. And that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about this week. We got a lot of stuff happening. Oh, one last thing that was on my list. I forgot. I'm playing a new video game. I actually found some time to do that and some Legoing. Clark and I are building Lego at the bar and watching movies. Okay, it's not over. Don't leave yet. We got to get into the entertainment segment of this. We watched Across the Spider-Verse while we built Lego, and I have to say that movie is so good. Now it doesn't quite have the conclusion that you'd hope for, because it's kind of like the middle part of a trilogy, it seems. But the animation from it, and it's like this, it's Spider-Man of course, but it's like when he encounters enemies and stuff like that, they all have different animation styles. In fact, there's this one character, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but it's like a Leonardo da Vinci style character it's like a bird, and it looks like his drawings, and it's so cool. And there's a Spider-Man from the future that's futuristic looking, and everything. There's all these different Spider-Man from all these multiverses. I'm not selling you very well on this, but it's just so fun to watch. And we had such a good time building Lego sets and watching that. I built the Polaroid camera out of Lego, which incredible set. I'm currently working on the Vespa. I got both those in a Lego haul that I did since we've been back. Some of the Lego peeps have been seeing us since we've been back, but the Greg's World stuff is still stacked, really far behind. In fact, like I have all these videos that I mentioned to you. They're not even going to start coming out for like another 4 days. So all the stuff that I talked about here, like very far behind. I almost need to not record for a bit to get caught up, but who cares? Like summer will go into September on our channel, maybe into October, who knows? So Clark's working on a panda set. He built a train. What else was he working on? There was something else that he finished building too. The roller coaster, which is that's what that little blurry thing is there on my couch. So we've been doing some Legoing, but I also been playing some games. Clark's playing Pokemon, as I mentioned, but I've been playing this game called Dave the Diver. I love swimming and I love snorkeling. This is a diving simulator, sort of, but it's like a 2D 8-bit looking game, or 16-bit, I suppose. Looks like a Super Nintendo game. And you play the role of Dave the Diver, and your buddy has a sushi shop that's kind of in the background of this place that you go diving. You go down and then you like catch these fish, like you're spearing them and stuff like that. Or you have like a harpoon gun, I guess. You have a knife. And when you catch the fish, you bring them back to the boat at like in the afternoon or evening, and then you go back and you work in the sushi shop at night, and it's sort of like Overcooked, where the guy's cooking and then you're delivering the plates of food and sushi of the fish that you caught to the tables. Then you can hire on staff and you can fix the place up, make it look great. And your goal is to get like higher ratings and improve the place and make more money. And then you can get better equipment to dive down deeper. Like you can get a new wetsuit, you can get oxygen tanks, you can get a thing where you can carry stuff, like more things. You can get a better harpoon gun to get bigger fish. And then you're doing this, but there's always adding like new things to it. And there's all these storyline elements. And then there's like these like sea people that you come across, and there's like this bigger story that's happening, and it's so much fun. Like I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I can't help but think though when I'm playing it that I should be editing videos, but I'm like, I need a little bit of fun in my life. Like these videos take me a couple hours in the morning every morning, and then when I'm done, I'm like, all right, I can finally enjoy my day. And we're still seemingly getting a lot of stuff done, but I thought I would add that little bit of stuff in, building Lego, playing video games, having fun in the summer, living the dream, baby. So I think on that, we just crossed the 30-minute mark. So this is a shorter one. Listener feedback, I'm going to let that one sit for last week because it's been a month and I don't even know what I talked about last time. So if you have anything you want to comment on this episode that's relevant to this, or something that you would like to add, or something that you'd like me to discuss next week, I'd be happy to throw that in here. I appreciate it. It does help make the episodes, I think, not only longer for the people that, you got something to do during this time and you need to fill more time, but also better because it's not just me talking about my week, but it's like some other inputs that go into this, and I appreciate it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry it was so long in between them. I'm getting back into it. We might miss 1 or 2 more weeks here this summer potentially, but it shouldn't be anything major like this, and I'll keep them coming because I want to stay consistent at this, because what is the key to success? Showing up and being consistent. And that's what we're going to do here on Missing Pieces. So I hope you have a glorious week this week. And as always, we'll find you next Sunday on Missing Pieces.